have to go through the fire, I guess, to come out the other side and get scorched. You know, I've been through lawsuits.
Welcome to Behind the Frame, where we go beyond the LinkedIn bios and Instagram highlight reels to talk about what really happens when you're building something from scratch. I'm Jay Duffy, co-founder of Frame Wealth Partners, business owner, husband, dad, and guy who still wonders if winging it counts as a legitimate growth strategy. Spoiler, it does sometimes. Join me and my amazing co-hosts, Morgan Watson and Annette Quigley, as we sit down with someone who's built a business or is knee-deep in the messy middle of it. And we talk about the real stuff, the pivots, the late nights, the wins no one celebrated, and the lessons no one warned them about. So grab a coffee or something stronger. We're going behind the frame. Hey folks, welcome back to Behind the Frame. This is episode 14, where we talk business, leadership, and the mindset behind building something meaningful. So today we have a great guest. I'm excited to jump into that, but before we do, what's your weekend win?
Well, it was interesting. Growing up down south, winter sports typically was just basketball inside. So I've actually really enjoyed, as a family, kind of gotten into the Winter Olympics more so than usual. Okay. And I don't know what this says about me, but I found the events.
I'll tell you what.
Yeah, please do. I found the events I enjoyed the most was the speed skating. And the curling. I could not be further apart.
I could have pegged you as a curling expert at this point.
Exactly.
You're probably like, I could probably do this.
I think I've got that. Push a rock really slowly. I can handle that. No, but obviously the men and women's hockey was tremendous. Great events.
Yeah.
But really enjoyed the kind of the action of the speed skating. Really interesting. Yeah. And then the curling, for some reason, I just kind of the precision with it.
Yeah, well, obviously, we got to love the U.S. win for both women and men's hockey.
Huge.
That was huge.
Huge. So it was good. It was a good weekend. How about with you? What happened at the Duffy house?
We had a couple things happen, but the one thing that it happened last night, and it really kind of impressed me. It kind of resonates with this podcast. So we were putting our kids to bed, and James was brushing his teeth, and I just happened to walk into his room and kind of glance over at his desk, and James is 10 years old. He had like a little notepad out, and it says business ideas. And he calls the one business called Card Bros. So he's gonna have he's got football cards, baseball, trading cards, and he wants to create like a YouTube channel around that, just sharing the different cards that he has.
Okay.
And so he had like all these bullet points of like, put out good vids, post daily. And I'm like, wow, this is really thoughtful for a 10-year-old. And
he's one of our 4 viewers, so that's
exactly.
where he's getting it from.
Yeah, he loves it. Yeah, so I'm excited that he's taking that entrepreneurial mindset, and I think it's awesome. So I think it's a win.
Yeah. Oh, that's a huge win. That's good.
So who do we have today?
So we're really lucky. So today we have Alessandro Vitale. So Alexandra is the CEO of Highland Sporting Outfitters here in Hunt Valley. Many of you may know, some of you may not know Highland. So it isn't just really a sporting goods store. It's really much more of a premium experience. They have high-end shotguns, custom fitting, advanced training technology and craftsmanship, and really built a huge community really around his business. So we're really fortunate to have Alexandra here with us.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Alessandra, I don't want to put you on the spot. Do you have a weekend win?
A weekend win?
Yeah. Anything good happen this weekend?
Well, we missed the big blizzard because we're all geared up with our mobile command trailer and everything to leave for Sea Island, Georgia today.
Oh, nice.
When I leave here for the Seminole Cup, which is a very large sporting clay event at Sea Island. So we were worried that would have, I gambled and I said, I'm not going to leave Sunday morning. We waited. I think it would be that bad. I trusted the weather in Maryland. Yeah. If not, we would have had to leave yesterday just to make sure we're down there in time to set up. Yeah. And then last week, I'm just coming back from Okeechobee, Florida, where we were down at the Jack Link's Cup, which if you're familiar with Jack Link's.
Yep.
Their company does $8 billion a year in annual revenue. They're the largest snack food jerky company. They also own a place called Quail Creek, which is 4,500 acres. Memberships start at $500,000, and they have the nation's premier, probably most incredible sporting clay tournament in the world.
Oh, wow.
This past year, there were over 2,000 competitors. All 50 states were represented and 15 countries.
No way.
So that was unbelievable to go down there. You would never believe that Central Florida is so beautiful, and the cattle and the citrus, and
Yeah.
you would think you're in Argentina or Texas. You wouldn't even know you're in Okeechobee.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah, big fan of Sea Island. Beautiful place down there.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into it. First, we're just going to kind of start off with your personal background. Where did maybe the interest in sport shooting come about for you? At what age?
So sports shooting started for me probably when I was 10 years old.
Okay.
You know, I was always interested in shooting. And growing up in Maryland, you know, we're fortunate to have the Eastern Shore and a lot of hunting and waterfowl hunting and bird hunting. And my father, you know, he's the real inspiration behind it. He came from Italy at the age of 16,
Okay.
went to night school to learn English, and then gets drafted for Vietnam. And they say you either serve and can become a citizen, or you go back to Italy. And Italy has a law at 18 you got to serve anyway. So he said I might as well stay and
Yeah.
get my citizenship. So when he stayed, he was fortunate to be stationed with the U.S. Army in Gardone Valtrompia in Brescia, Italy, where Beretta, Benelli, all the big Italian gun
okay.
manufacturers are there.
Yeah.
And he was stationed at Camp Darby, and his base commander was a skeet shooter and would go shoot. So my dad picked up shooting and had a custom gun build. So he got to be buddies with the base commander and not have to do a lot of technical Army work, and got to go shoot around all of Europe. And then when I remember as a child coming home looking at his first guns, I remember seeing the logo of the National Skeet Shooting Association, this quail and a gold plate on the side of his gun. So when I was probably 11 or 12, I went for the first time at Loch Raven Skeet and Trap Club, which I'm now president of, which is kind of cool. And
Oh,
that's kind
wow.
of got me started.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Interesting. So what really took from this hobby to really growing into a business? What was that journey like?
Well, I think it really hits home here with, I think, what you guys do. You guys do financial planning, right? You do financial planning.
Yep.
You work with high net wealth individuals or just families that have worked hard because they either had to do a certain thing in life to achieve certain goals, to raise a family, to buy a house. And then when they get to a certain age, they're like, you know, now I'm 65 or 70, and now I'm finally going to do something fun. I kind of broke the mold a little bit, where I went to Loyola High School, and then I went to Stevenson University, then I went to University of Baltimore, and I was always about, you know, I need to make money. I need to go into finance and make money. So I worked for B&A Bank in Newark, Delaware. I was in their management development summer interns. I started there through college and graduated and worked for them after college, and then decided it was too regimented. I needed a more business action. I needed more putting deals together and doing things like that. So I went with my family and opened up restaurants, right? So we opened up Aldo's Restaurant in Baltimore.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We had Aldo's in Hartford County and Falston. My dad started in the restaurant business in 1976.
Okay.
And we had Chaz, a Bronx original in Harbor East. We had Chibo Bar and Grill in Owings Mills. So those years of 20 to 25 years handling all the financing and raising capital and meeting a bunch of people, I thought that was the business. But yet life is weird that way. At the whole time, I'm still competing and shooting and hunting and doing all the things I want to do. That's my passion. You know, any stressful day when life is bad, you know, some people, we pray and go to church. My church was the sporting clay range or the skeet field, where I'd go out hunting. That was where I could get my mind
Clear your head.
clear, and it was one consistent, constant all those years, you know, to be able to go and you know, follow that passion. But I didn't realize that 25 years in the restaurant business, I was building business relationships and connections that would benefit me in my businesses. You know, I was in my 20s, and because of my shooting skill, I'm meeting billionaires and multi-generational family, wealthy people. That if I mention their names, you would know them here. And probably one who really sponsored me and took me under his wing and introduced me to a lot of people was a gentleman named Henry Rosenberg. Henry's, I think, 95 right now. His family founded Amoco Oil with the Blaustein family. Henry is an avid quail hunter, goose hunter. I would have never figured that at all, right? Like I would meet this guy and he figures I know how to shoot. He's like, you, young little guy, you're coming with me and you're going to teach me how to shoot. And because of that, I got to go on some of the most phenomenal trips that I couldn't even afford the lunch on these trips, and with some big prominent names. I mean, really prominent names. I got to meet President Bush. I got W, the director of the CIA. I mean, some really high-end people through Henry that I got to go and establish, and that helped me also bring business to the restaurants. But they were all interested in shooting.
Was Henry a big mentor for you in establishing like Highland?
Henry, yes. Henry's helped me out a lot. So I have a couple really big mentors. Henry was a big mentor. Another big mentor of mine who I think was really tough. And, obviously my father, I'll go back to my dad as a vet mentor, but my father, one of the most hardest working, humble human beings you'll ever meet. He just turned 81 Sunday.
That's awesome.
So my dad is that old school that I'm going to work super hard, maybe not smart, smart in the sense of I limit my hours. No, work like an animal day and night, and gave me, I think, the character and work ethic. So you got to have that. So you can meet all the people you want, but if you don't have that base of character and work ethic to execute that opportunity, you're not going to be able to do it. So I would say that some of the most difficult times in business, actually, you have to go through the fire, I guess, to come out the other side and get scorched. I've been through lawsuits, been through business lawsuits, business failure, business success, make millions, lose millions, have tons of money to do what I want, and have money to worry about paying the house payment. I mean, that's the risk you take. But I'd have it no other way, because that's like shooting. That's competing. I know I can't win if I'm home on the couch thinking about it. So you're going to get up and you're going to go. So while we were doing all the different businesses that we were doing, we had a big problem, I think, in Baltimore that happened was during the Freddie Gray riots. So during those riots, our restaurants in Baltimore City suffered. I mean, we were in a position where Chaz, a Bronx original, it all depended on tourism at Harbor East. Yep, Chaz Palminteri.
Yeah.
I built that restaurant with Chaz, and
Coal-fired pizza was good.
we were the first to have that. And the timing of that summer when we opened were the Freddie Gray riots. And I remember getting a call in Savannah, Georgia, where my brother called me and said, "Hey, you got to turn on the news." I have family members calling me from Italy, like, "Are you guys okay?" Because you could see the city burning, buildings by Hopkins, National Guard, martial law. I tell people the last time the U.S. troops or National Guard troops were at Patterson Park staging was the War of 1812. So now we have soldiers coming in and doing, you guys know that. So we had problems with Chaz, with financing and things of that. Our bank at the time was failing. We were dealing with First Mariner Bank, which was a great bank. Really good people in that bank that really supported my family, did well, and they felt pressure from the things that they were going through because of Baltimore and things of that. So that was a period where we had to go. And one of the greatest mentors, business mentors that helped me through that period was a guy named Dennis Townsend, Townsend Capital, which is right here in Hunt Valley, Maryland. Dennis is a very wealthy, successful in a bunch of different businesses. I mean, from batteries to energy to land holdings and real estate. Dennis now lives in Florida. And we still talk and keep in contact. And that was my second, or I would say the ultimate master's in business I could ever get, was handling and dealing with Dennis. Still to this day, I still do help Dennis out with some things, and we talk all the time, and he gives me advice, and he's that guy that wants to tell you the glass is half empty, it's cracked, but, and we'll tell you how to get it to that next level, which is very important. So yeah, you got to have people around you that are going to tell you what you don't want to hear. Got to have people that are going to tell you your problems, your flaws, because if you're around yes people all the time and how great you are, like to compete in sports, if everybody tells you you're great, you're the best, and you don't practice and put the time in, you're going to have a bad result.
Yeah. What for you? You've had multiple businesses, but we're talking about Highland today. What was maybe it could be from other businesses, but what's been the hardest thing about launching a business?
I think one of the hardest things about launching a business coming from an idea, fortunately, I started competing at a high level and winning. So if you're familiar with a gun manufacturer, Krieghoff guns are in Germany, where they're our top brand. I was us as a dealer. I made their team shooting. Okay. Then I got to their pro staff. And then I became the manager of their pro staff. So I'm the team captain that would go around and take the guys out and shooting. We compete at a high level. I've done, I think this year will be my 14th or 15th World Championship, 15 all-American first teams. Not to brag, but those are my accomplishments. If you go to their website, you'll see me and all my stats and things on there, which is kind of cool. I still can't. Some days I go out and I'm like, that's not me. Maybe somebody else. And then when the food service industry and restaurants and my dad wanted to get out of the business after COVID. COVID was another big nail in the coffin. A lot of restaurants, just
Kind of stacked on each other.
just so you come out of those two things back to back, and then we're the few people in the restaurant business that needs to make money from the restaurant.
Yeah.
It's not a fun thing like, hey, I got a lot of money somewhere else, let me go play and open up a restaurant and think it's fun. No, we had to actually make it work. So Dieter Krieghoff would joke with me and said, you need to be a dealer. You would do great. You need to be able to get in this business and do that. And I put it off a little bit, and then finally I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to do it. So Dieter encouraged me, and he said, hey, you got to find the location and go through that, and the business part, and the plan starts. Then you realize, like anything else, in today's world, all of your money in finance and capital comes from private equity and private money, banks. So the American dream of, hey, I got an idea and a plan, I'm going to go to my bank. Banks don't do it anymore.
Yeah.
Banks will only lend you money when it's guaranteed 300%, everything's perfect, and everything you do fits in the perfect little cogs that they want to fit in. Then they might consider it.
Right.
And that process takes months, if not a year or more. So you have to go to private equity, private people, or your own capital, and put an idea together. And the thing that I wanted to do was Highland Sporting Outfitters to create a gallery, which is one of probably only 5 in the entire United States that have what we have in terms of the quality of shotguns that we do for that. So then I work with Rob Merritt from Merritt Construction, Merritt Properties, which you guys are going to know pretty soon.
Yep.
Rob liked the idea because without a landlord saying, oh, you're in the gun business,
Right.
oh, well, they don't understand what I'm doing. This is not, ARs and black guns or whatever. We're creating a gallery with a full custom shop. We're almost like a golf tech.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You go to Golf Tech, you're going to get measured, you're going to get fitted, and people from around the country come. So Rob said, hey, I think we can help you with the zoning. And we're fortunate in this area, Baltimore County, from this area right here, from McCormick Spice to the landfill, to the quarry, met the industrial needing, the zoning, that I could have gun sales and refinishing and that type of work.
Wow.
So that was check number one. So then the next part was to get your FFL, your federal firearms license, to apply and become, which you can't be, you have a perfect, squeaky clean, everything has to be perfect.
Yeah.
So you got to get the feds in line, you got to get Baltimore County in line, the state of Maryland in line, you got to get your zoning in line. So,
Imagine there's just a little bit of paperwork.
so, after you spend tens of thousands of dollars with lawyers
Yeah.
to get to that point.
You got to make it work.
So you haven't done anything. You
Yeah.
haven't started construction yet. You haven't done anything. So that's kind of how I did it. And I said, you know what? People spend their lives and invest money with you, and you do very well for your clients. And they say, well, when I get to a certain, I want to do this. My dream is X. I want to, buy this car, or move to this house, or do something for my kids. I said, I want to do something that I know I'm passionate about. Like you'd hear those stories of people like, oh, when you love your work, it's not work anymore. It's like, I'm like, oh, that's all BS. That's not true. And I'm like, so I can sell you the things that I'm passionate about, participate in sporting events that I love every weekend, and travel around the country, basically do what I would do anyway,
Right.
and maybe get paid for it. I'm in.
Yeah. I mean, I have to assume, with all the different, brands that you represent at Highland, I mean, what's the vetting process like when you bring in maybe a new gun manufacturer?
Back in the day, you could have a gun store or a gun shop, and what we didn't want to create was, my growing up was the gun shop was always, you go into a gun shop, which was kind of like seedy and put in a bad area because of zoning, and when you walk into it, you felt creepy, like maybe it was like a porn shop, for people, and there's a bunch of old grumpy men sitting there, and they look at you weird, like they don't know if you're in there to rob the place or to scope it out, and they ask you like, what what are you here for?
Yeah.
And then you ask to see a gun, which is behind a counter, if it's something you know about. And the people here typically have no expertise in what you're doing.
Yeah.
So we are a very distinct store in the sense of it's a gallery experience where you come in and you see the gallery similar to Radcliffe Jewelers.
Yeah.
You go into their new store, which Paul Winnicky and those guys are fantastic. They've helped me out a lot.
amazing how big that is,
You
too.
go into the store, and every brand has their own unique area and experience with the experts that are going to tell you why this watch costs more than this watch. What are you getting for the money? Why do I need this? Why don't I need that? So I remember when someone asked me to go back to what are the dealers looking for. Today, if you wanted to get in the car business, if your family's not already in it or you're not venture capital, you're never opening a Mercedes, BMW dealership, Porsche dealership. They require $20, $30 million just in the build out, and that's after you're vetted. So we had to build and we had to show proof of pictures and what I was doing and design, not only to Krieghoff, which they already knew I was going to do something spectacular. Beretta Corporate, they're in Maryland. Benelli, they're in Maryland. We sent pictures. We showed them exactly what we're building because now it's a product experience. They want to make sure that your facility is not just a guy working out of his house, which used to be people in the past. Like I have a gun dealership. Well, what are you selling? Well, these are bespoke brands, and they're our guns in a Krieghoff line. They start at $16,000.
Okay.
And we have them up to $208,000.
Oh, goodness.
So that just depends on the artwork and what
Yeah.
you want. It's like buying a watch. Do you want it? It's the same watch,
Right.
whether it's in stainless or do you want it in platinum signed by an artist? So we have that. So that was a very long process to be able to get that and get approval. But I think it's because of me being in the business in the sense of the shooting side of it and competing and knowing the presidents of these companies one-on-one. I have them in my cell phone just before I even open. I said, hey, I'm going to do this. And they're like, well, Alessandro, we're going to make you a direct dealer. We'll be happy to have you as a dealer. So the brands that we represent are not easy. Not any person can just go and be a dealer for these brands.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah, I was curious, and today probably more so than most times in the past, gun ownership gets to be a very political, kind of divisive subject. How do you manage being in that industry? Do you stay apolitical? Do you jump one way or the other? How does that work?
I don't believe in being apolitical in the sense of, I think, we live in this country and we should stand up for what we believe in. I mean, there's no secret. My industry needs to be protected by the Second Amendment, needs to be protected. It's an industry. For example, last year, and I'm going to do it next Thursday, we'll be at the state of Maryland. I'll be there to testify a tax increase they want to impose, which is unconstitutional, and it was shot down the past couple of years. They want to impose an 11% excise tax on top of guns and ammunition, and this money will go to support the shock trauma fund, for injuries and because guns create the crime, guns create the murders, guns are the problem. So we'll tax it. Okay, and I went there last year, and you can look at me and I'll say, you know what? If the entire United States would just put the same 11% across the board, that'd be fair. But now let's talk business. At the end of the day, the state of Maryland needs tax revenue, right? That's what we want. So not to talk about politics in terms of one state from another, but we're in too small of a state to impose an 11% excise tax when I am 18 miles from this office to the PA border. Delaware, 0 tax. West Virginia, 0 tax on firearms. So ammunition and firearms, everyone will just drive that extra hour or 20 minutes and get everything they need, and the state of Maryland gets a net zero for that. So I went there to tell them, and I'll do it again next Thursday, I'm not there to complain or anything. I'm there to ask for their help to keep the tax revenue in Maryland where it belongs, because it's not just guns and ammo. This would affect every shooting range. It'll affect every sporting clay club. The Eastern Shore of Maryland makes tens of millions of dollars a year from guide services, waterfowl hunting, goose hunting. So you're going to add a tax now on all of these, all the ammunition, all the fees and all that from shotguns, sports. And our guns that we're talking about, not one of our guns ever in sporting clay, skeet, trap, or waterfowl hunting is used in a crime in Baltimore City.
Kind of hard to hide one of those.
These are not what they call black guns. They're not that. Plus, we know that it's unconstitutional because you're trying to impose a tax on something that's in our Constitution under the Second Amendment.
Right.
So that's going to be an issue. So we'll go there, and being in the politics. Do I support, more of the Republican platform? Sure. Do I support, let's say, Trump right now because his policies and ideals are in favor of our business? Of course. If you're in the oil, the gas, any industry, if you're in your industry, you want to see the stock market, you want to see what he's doing with whoever the president is. You want the market to go up, you want interest rates to be good, you want your clients to be able to borrow money that's not at 9%, 10%. Those are all just common good things. So we live in a capitalist world where
100%.
that's what we want.
Absolutely. Let's shift to actually being a business owner. We heard a little bit about your history. What I would say, what do people misunderstand the most about owning a business, you think?
You better be able to put the time in,
Yeah.
and you better be able to deal with the stresses. I look at it as the combat stress. If someone looks at someone and they say, "Oh, well, he's driving a nice car. He's got a nice house." I'm like, okay, some people maybe got lucky, but a lot of people, you're going to lose a lot of sleep. You put the time in, whether you guys in your jobs, you put the time in, you went to college, you got your degrees, you earned it, you're sitting here in an office and you have goals to meet. You got to get those clients, and you put your kids in a private school or whatever. You have every minute of every day, that clock is in your head of pressure of what I need to do within that 30-day month where the clock starts again, right? So that, to me, is the biggest part.
Yeah, it's, we say all the time, I think you're born an employer or an employee. It's just a mindset. It's a ability to handle, to your point, stress. Where do I want to be the decision maker, or do I want to have less control? And it kind of goes that way. I was curious, what's some of the best lessons or hardest lessons you learned as a business owner? That, this one, I took this one on the chin, but it was a great lesson I learned.
What's the old lesson? Believe half of what you see and nothing what you hear.
Okay.
Right? Because in business and anything else in life, whether it's a bank, whether it's an investor, whether it's a customer, you got to learn to not take things personally. People like you, more don't like you. There's jealousy. There's people that are out to get you in the sense of business. Business is competitive. So you got to keep your wits about you. You got to be calm. You can't take things personal. You just stay in your lane. I do that when I shoot. I'm not there to worry about this year when I went to the World Championships, the hundreds of other shooters that I had to beat. I know what my job is that day, and I have to block that out. So a lot of people, what's the saying? You can't stop to kick every barking dog. I mean, you just have to let the barks turn into some hum in your head where you accept it, and you got to keep going forward.
It's just noise.
It's just noise.
Yep.
That's the hardest because it's
tough.
oh
Yeah.
it's tough. Yeah.
It can be emotionally draining too.
Yep.
Absolutely. What obviously building a business, you have employees, you bring people in, and I always like asking the question around hiring. One, do you have a hiring philosophy? And if you do, what is it?
I think hiring is probably one of the most important things you need to do right. And if you do that right, you'll never have to fire an employee or let an employee go. And then typically, the couple times when you don't do it right, the employee will tend to fire themselves.
Yep.
So I have a philosophy with every single person that's affiliated with Highland. They don't have any restrictions on the amount of money or salary that they make. I don't believe that you should wake up in the morning and say, this is my job, that's how much I'm making for the whole year, and I hope I do well this year because maybe next year I might get another point or two added to that. So I do every single thing we do is incentive-based. There is not a limit to any salesperson. So in the restaurant business, back in the 90s and early 2000s, there were so many pharma reps coming in.
Oh, yeah.
All the big pharma companies would have all these dinners, and these reps were killing it. They start you out at $7,500 a year, and you can get these bonuses. But then when they go land a big account for millions of dollars, oh, I'm sorry, but your bonus is capped at $50,000 or $100,000. No, if you go get that $1 million a year in business, I have a national sales director right now. She has no limit. I want to grow. If I can't have a team of people that grow with me, I'm not going to be successful. And then you breed contempt. You always see that guy who's working in the office and I'm barely getting by, but here comes the boss. He's driving a big car, making a ton of money, has a great lifestyle, and I'm here making him rich. And that attitude will go that way. So I don't care how great of an employer you are, there's jealous employees. And that's always going to be the case unless you make them part of the team
Yeah.
and split profits, share profits, have sales incentive, bonus incentives, and real goals that they can hit, and don't change the goalpost every time they hit it.
Yeah.
Oh, I need to make some more money this year, so I'm going to change with these guys. No. You put everything in writing, everything's in a contract, everything's written out. That's very important because your team and your quality of people, that's what it's going to be. In my world of the shooting community, yeah, there's thousands and thousands. We all know each other, like you guys do in your world. I'm sure up here, you know everybody of your competitors. You go to your annual meetings, you go to your boards, and they'll know who they can believe in, who can look someone in the face, in the eye, and shake hands and know that their word means something.
Yeah, so true, so true. Well, we're going to move to our next segment, hot or not. Morgan, you want to hit on what this
Yeah,
is about?
so Alexandra, what we're going to talk about is really, we'll give you certain kind of industry-specific things. You tell if this is a hot trend or not a hot trend. No middle ground. If
Okay.
you want to elaborate on it, you can, or simply hot or not. So we'll start off, destination retail experiences, where you're a place people want to come to, not just for the retail, but really the experience.
Very hot, very hot.
Okay. I think I know the answer to this, but buying premium firearms online without a fitting,
Not.
not.
E-commerce for high-end shotguns.
Not.
Simulator-based training.
Hot.
Okay.
So I want to touch on that for a moment. We told you earlier in the year, we took our whole team out. We went, before we knew you, but actually went out and did some clay shooting. How much difference is there between shooting on the range and with the simulator?
And in 1 hour with me at Highland in a simulator could take the place of several days out teaching you that fundamental on the range.
Really?
It's like going to Golf Tech. You know, we talk about what are the body mechanics. So the first couple things I'll do really quickly is eye dominance, right? People don't
Yep.
know you shoot with two eyes open. You don't close an eye. You don't aim a shotgun. You look at a shotgun. You point it. So you're not aiming it that you would that way. Some people, well, I can't hit this crosser. They realize, oh, I'm right-handed, right eye dominant. No, you're not. You're left eye dominant, right-handed. That's a problem. So we have to
Yeah.
fix that.
Yeah.
That will fix it really quickly. Body mechanics like golf, using your core, not rolling shoulders, coming out of the gun. You hear when golfers, you can sit here and look at a golfer and learn how he slices a ball, how he tops a ball, his body mechanics swinging, how he lifts his head up to peak before he hits the ball.
Yep.
Well, we call keeping your head in the gun. So all these things I can go through and elevate your game within an hour in a controlled environment where your mind is actually going to see your shot string, where
I
you're
didn't
shooting,
think
like
about
on
that.
a golf simulator.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where I made that impact on the screen. What was
Yep.
my swing speed? How far did the ball go?
Yeah.
Well, I can do all of that with you. So when I say to you, lead is perceived. There's no strict measurement. You establish your lead by matching gun speed to target speed, either swinging through, pulling away from it. But if I try to explain that to you in the real field from the first time, what does that mean? So we're able to do that and show you exactly in real time. And your mind needs an imprint. Just a really quick example. When you first start driving, you might watch your feet, you might watch your hands, and you're looking at the speedometer, and you're constantly looking at the speedometer. So if you came here to work today and you merged into traffic after years of experience, you didn't watch your feet, you didn't look at your hands, you didn't do some high school math formula where the train is going, that car is coming at 68.5, I'm going 64, what is my speed? No, you instantly, your mind calculated, you match gun speed to target speed, and you merged into traffic flawlessly. So those things I can show you, and your mind picks that up so much faster than me trying to have to explain it. Because then you talk about, I like this instructor, I don't like that one. I love this teacher in school, I like that. What was the difference between that? The difference was you had a connection with that teacher or that instructor.
Yeah.
And until you have that connection, you're not going to learn that fast.
Right.
But when your mind sees it for yourself, you start to pick up and things escalate quickly.
Well, I would assume that you could probably do more shooting as well on a simulator in an hour than you would in the field.
Yeah, we use real guns, so any gun brand that we sell we hook up to the simulator. So you're swinging that weight, that mechanics, like you would at a golf tech. You know, it's that's that club,
Yeah.
it's that swing. But is it the same as doing the real thing? No.
No.
Is bike riding on the street the same as the Peloton? No, but the Peloton will keep you in shape.
Sure.
And you're doing eye drills on that screen. Your eyes are still working, picking up targets. You know, when you're on a golf simulator, your eyes are focused on the ball.
Totally agree.
That kind of similar, but yet
That's a
different.
good analogy. I never thought of
Yeah,
it that way.
that's really good.
What about sponsoring competitive shooters or sponsoring youth shooting programs? Hot or not?
Mild, if that
Mild.
makes sense.
Yeah.
And I'll say that. So I'm being the pro staff manager for one of the best shooting teams in the world, Krieghoff team. We have sponsor shooters, and that's my job, is to look at sponsor shooters. And when children start out, and I say children, let's say call it under 18, you know, you're under the greatest sponsors in the world, your parents.
Yeah.
So whatever sport that is, your parents are paying for your ammo, your trips, your transport. Oh, my son, little Tommy's the greatest. I want him to be on your team and do this, and he's doing great things. And I'm like, okay, but he's got to show some commitment, because from 18 to 24, college happens, life happens. They meet a girl, they meet a boy, things kind of cool down. The parents then stop sponsoring them. So we need to make sure that at 24 plus, they're still going to be committed and in there to be able to do that. We have some sponsors that we sponsor as a company at Highland,
Yeah.
and I do the hybrid. I'm like, okay, you can put some money down, you need a gun, you're going to be paying for it over time, and I need to show, you're going to show me that you're doing that and staying with it. So
Sure.
sponsoring is important, but it has to be done with the carrot and the stick.
Yeah.
You know,
And it's probably got to be all about fit, too.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
How about women-focused events in your industry?
Yes, absolutely.
So, all right, so question. I would assume most shooters is probably more of a male-dominated hobby, I would think. But do you find women, you know, our industry tends to be more male-dominated. I'll tell you, women are actually better in our industry than men are most of the time. They empathize better, they understand better. Is one sex better shooter than the other, or not so much? Or is one easier to coach than the other?
I think women are stronger mentally, you know,
Yeah.
because you
Yes.
don't have an ego. They don't have the ego. Every man thinks they know how to do.
Everything.
They're born. I know how to drive a car. I know how to shoot. That's all right.
You've
I've
met
like
my
seen
third
that
son,
movie. Yeah, I've like watched those Rambo movies. I know how to do that. Everybody knows how to do that. And you think that, but women come there and they're like, they're not there to compete against the women in that concurrent. We have a lot of world champion women that take me out on a constant basis, that do it there, are there to win.
Yeah.
And the mental game is super strong. I
Okay.
mean,
That's awesome.
yeah.
What about staying boutique versus scaling locations?
I think you have to create the boutique experience, and you can scale. And I'll use an example. A guy I've known for 40 years, since high school, gave me my first credit in a store. It was Paul Winnicky from Radcliffe Jewelers.
Yeah.
He started and he scaled, right? Right now they merged. They're the 1916 company. You know, they have multiple stores around the country, if not the world right now. But they figured out a model and a way to create that customer bespoke experience and grow that and scale it. So while we're national in the sense of we sell in all 48 states, we ship everywhere, we're mobile, we go out with our trailers and show command and go and do that. And if we open up other places, it's for that bespoke experience for people have to come in. They want the experience. They want the
Yeah.
Disney experience. When you're buying that car you want to go to that dealership, you're going to
Yeah.
buy the swag and you want to meet the team. It's that type of deal.
Absolutely.
So give us one kind of knot that you think the entire industry is getting wrong right now, in your opinion.
The nod that the firearm industry is
Yeah.
getting wrong, or
Yeah.
specifically Clay Target Sports.
It could be either one
Yeah.
around your business.
I think what they're getting wrong is a little bit of some brand imaging, you know, sort of deal. You know, they'll always have, you know, I hate to say it, but if you watch the local news at night, they always interview, like they'll pick the most uneducated person on the topic to interview them about this, and they'll do the same thing with some of the firearm industries. Is they'll pick the person who claims to be an expert, know this. I'm like, no, I mean you're really doing us a disservice
Sure.
Yeah.
by
Yeah.
you know, talking about that. Like what I'm talking about now with the state of Maryland, we went and had the entire delegate come out to Loch Raven and shoot And we had delegates that were so anti-gun. Oh, my God, I love this. It's breaking clay targets.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just, it's not just ARs and,
Right.
kill people. It's about target sports.
Yes.
You know, a gun is no more dangerous. The most scary thing I'm going to do in a couple of months is give my son at 16 a car.
Yes.
I mean, he's been shooting. He shoots at a high level. He's doing fantastic right now. I trust him with a gun because he's educated in that.
Yeah.
You know,
Give
so,
them behind the wheel, different story.
yep.
Yeah.
Well, then, we got the knot. What's one hot trend most people aren't paying attention to yet?
Accessibility, I would say. So we are fortunate, like right here in Maryland, people don't know. It's like, well, I'm interested in shooting clay target sports, skeet, trap, or sporting clays. Where do I go? In Maryland, right here, you're from Hunt Valley, Maryland. I'm an hour and a half to M&M Sporting Clays that held the World Championship in Pennsville, New Jersey. You have Hopkins Game Farm, Schrader's Game Farm, Pintail Point on the Eastern Shore. The Orvis Center is an hour from here. Prince George's County has a big center. Lock Raven Skeet and Trap is 6 miles from here. So a lot of people don't think that they have accessibility to our sports. But a lot of these places are open to the public. You can rent guns, you can get
Nemacolin
lessons.
Woodlands, I know Nemacolin had a pretty
That's,
shitty
yeah,
place.
that's 3 hours from here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a phenomenal facility.
Okay.
So, all right, our next section, we're going to talk about plead the fifth. All right. So you get three, we're going to just give you a bunch of things. You have to answer all of them. One, you can plead the fifth.
You just don't know how many questions we're going to ask.
Okay.
All right. So I'll go first. What's the biggest misconception about your industry?
That we promote violence, that we promote, that type of excessive force or something like that, unsafety, For example, Tom DeBolt, who's the president of Benelli, he's doing a phenomenal job with his kids. They're shooting target youth sports in the South in Florida. A lot of kids go to school. I went to high school here at Townsend.
Yeah.
Many mornings I'd be at school with my shotgun in the car because I went duck hunting that morning here in the valley or after school, and there was no problems. But today, look what happens with school shooting and kids. You hear the word gun. I've had parents, I had two times where parents would not let their child come to my home to play because I'm a gun guy. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
I'm probably one of the most safest
Yeah.
places you'll be. Not because I have guns; they're all locked away. And people
you know
are
how to handle it.
well, not all, people are educated.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like my son is taught. Like if you went to a house and one of his friends said, "Hey, you want to see my dad's gun?" Absolutely not. Nope. I don't want to touch that gun. I'm going to leave and get out of there. Just like if I want to look at drugs or a knife or that kind of deal. So
Yeah. That's good.
Have you ever had to turn away a major client or a retail person?
yes,
Reason why?
some customers and some clients, and I think you've experienced them too, are just, I use the term, they're not worth the brain damage. And I know the ones. So we're in a business where every business, you have the same thing too. It's a relationship business.
Sure.
And the person that's going to come and give you their money to invest, they have to feel confidence in you.
Yeah.
And then you also have to look at them and feel confidence in them that I'm doing a good job, I'm taking their money. And certain times it's just, you know what, I think you'd be better fit with someone else, just because maybe it's on me. Maybe I'm not prepared to handle that extra level of brain damage,
Yes.
I'll say.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I'm going to steal that line, by the way.
Brain damage. What frustrates you about any of your competitors?
the ability of, I think, a lot of competitors in any industry create insecurity, and that leads into jealousy, and that leads into hatred and not working together. One of my attorneys who was with a very well-known attorney in Baltimore who was with Dwayne Morris and DLA Piper before that would always tell us, I'd sit down with him, and he was, you know what? The hard part is robbing the train. It's not splitting the loot. Splitting the loot is easy. The hard part is the plan to rob the train. So I've told some of my competitors now, and I work well with all of them, even other dealers, I said the most expensive thing we all have is that inventory sitting there.
Yeah.
And I'd rather make 5 or 10% and move that inventory than losing the sale. And I've done that. I've picked up the phone just recently and gave some gun sales to some of my competitors. Maybe I didn't have that exact one in stock or whatever, and you go ahead and do that. So that's probably
Such a
what,
great point. Wow.
what makes me upset. Like if you had a client who came from another financial institution, or they came to you and said, you know what, I like 90% of the things you have, but I like that market over there. I'm going to take a little bit of my money and keep it with that guy.
Yeah.
You need to be okay with that.
Absolutely.
And maybe you actually call that guy and say, how do we work together for the benefit of the client?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what some competitors in the industry fail to realize. It's about the customer.
It's
Yeah.
not about you, it's about the customer. Absolutely.
What's one company that you think is doing it wrong in the gun industry? Or doing, either the marketing or what they're doing?
That'll plead the fifth.
There.
That's a fifth.
We were hoping to get one
That was
today.
the one we thought you might.
Well, I think we're going to end on that. Alessandro, this has been awesome, very eye-opening for me. I'm definitely going to be checking out Highland. But what's next for Highland? Any events coming up?
Well, you can, if anybody's around, we'll be at Sea Island, Georgia this week.
Okay.
And then in March, we'll be at the National Shooting Complex in San Antonio, Texas.
Okay.
We'll also be at the Far City Gun Club in Savannah, Georgia, for the Krieghoff Masters Tournament, which is a big tournament.
When is that?
End of April.
Okay.
Okay.
That's the oldest, one of the oldest gun clubs in the United States, the Far City Gun Club in Savannah.
Oh, wow.
And then actually then we'll go through multiple places through the year, and then we always end at the National Shooting Complex in San Antonio, Texas for the World Championships and the National Championships.
Wow. Wow.
And where can everyone find you?
Highland. I mean, go to highlandusa.com. I'm always accessible. My phone number, so you can call me directly. Come by Highland here. We're not by appointment only. We're actually open. We're appointment 7 days a week. Like, I'm a business guy, so you call me on a Sunday night, you want to see that special gun, I'll meet you. Don't worry about it. But we're open Wednesday to Sundays. You can come in and check the place out. And then our team is mobile. Like right now, we're setting up in Sea Island.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Well, again, thanks so much for being a part of the show. That's all we have for today, folks. See ya.
Thank y'all.